All right, for today's video review, we're going to start taking a look at another Doom and Destruction 2-pack from Transformers Legacy United. This is another one that's an Amazon exclusive set, which has been out for a little while. The Doom and Destruction collection in general has been focused on the Mayhem Attack Squad, which is like the Decepticon version of the Wreckers. Kinda, because I don't really know what. I mean, I'm sure in the comics sometime the Prime Universe breakdown joined the Mayhem Attack Squad, but I resisted picking up this set for a while because, like, really, I didn't want this figure at all. I've got, my reissue of the Transformers Prime breakdown, the Arms Micron version, and, like, that's a great figure, and it works just fine sitting in as, like, a Generations breakdown. So I didn't really need a version of this mold, which I'd never really been a huge fan of the look of. It was originally used for a, Legacy bulkhead, and it was, like, one of the prime examples, no pun intended, of like the other universe characters being like just kind of nothing like they look in the show that they're supposed to be representing, and this definitely follows that trend because like this is nothing like the vehicle mode that breakdown turned into in Transformers Prime. But and again, it's like the reason I actually wanted this set was for Windsweeper because, I wanted to complete the trigger cons, but like, he's a repaint slight retool of Needle Nose, who's not my favorite figure. Like it's a fine mold, but it's just not that exciting to me. And then it was coming with a whole extra Voyager. But it went on sale for Black Friday. So I decided to end up picking it up. But I'm still paying more for the set than I would want to because I only want the one deluxe. But he's a fine figure. I just don't really care about owning this figure, honestly. So I don't know. But either way, that's that spiel out of the way. But for today's video, we're gonna split things up like we usually do. I'm gonna just take a look at Windsweeper today, and then take a look at Breakdown for the next video. So I'll just move these guys off to the side for now and just take a look at Windsweeper, who, like I said, is just a repaint with a new head sculpt of Legacy Evolution, I think, Needle Nose. So he carries a lot of the same problems as that figure in that because it came with the extra tooling for the Target Masters, which I'll talk about. It's kind of a simple deluxe. Like really, he is just kind of like a deluxe jet where the entire robot mode is just kind of folded up underneath the jet, with like the top facade just being, the jet and then back kibble in robot mode, which I've never been a huge fan of. But otherwise, it's a fine looking vehicle mode. I love the metallic purple with the pink stripe and the silver there on the wings. He does have the Mayhem Attack Squad logo on the wings here, because Windsweeper actually did show up as a character in the Mayhem Attack Squad in the comics. But I'd sort of prefer they were just Decepticon logos, but it's fine. He's got a regular Decepticon logo too for robot mode. But yeah, it's a fine looking jet mode. It made sense that they used this figure to be Windsweeper, because this kind of was the type of jet that he turned into G1 as well. Now, he was originally one of the trigger cons, which their whole gimmick in G1 was that they had like flip out weapons in both robot mode and vehicle mode. And since like basically all three of the, updated versions of these guys have been, retools of other figures, they haven't really done that. Like they did it with Ruckus, which was like, kind of surprising that they put so much effort into retooling that one. But they didn't really do it with Windsweeper. And likewise, because he is a remold of Needle Nose, instead of coming with flip out guns, he comes with two Target Masters that are just painted in silver to match his gun here. I'm sure they gave these guys names. I didn't bother looking them up, but so you can, attach them underneath the wings here. But this was not really the solution that I would have wanted for Windsweeper, because now it's just like, okay, he now has Target Masters, which makes him kind of not match up with Crankcase and Ruckus. And so personally, what I decided to do, and it kind of seemed like a fun project to do, so I decided that was like part of the impetus for buying this set, was I decided to design some 3D printed weapons. I haven't painted these yet. I'm gonna prime them and paint them silver, but they have a little hinge joint for how they attach in robot mode. But for vehicle mode, they just have a peg hole here so they can attach underneath the wings, and I think they'll look pretty nice once they're painted up in silver. But yeah, that's just a better solution than two little target masters. And for these guys, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint them to be Spinister's target masters, since he also doesn't match his trio, since he's the only one who doesn't come with 2 target masters. And yeah, they'll just be remolds of Needlenose's target masters, because that's what these are. But I think it's better than nothing. So I don't know. That will be a kind of a fun little project, but I didn't want to do that yet, so I could, show these guys off vanilla for the review. But either way, that's going to be kind of my solution here, making a little project out of it. But yeah, I do think it's kind of strange that he comes with the target masters. Like, I get it given the mold that they're using, but I sort of wish that they had just put in some more tooling to like some flip out guns rather than these guys, and included those instead. But either way, but yeah, otherwise pretty good looking vehicle mode, aside from the all the chunkiness underneath. In terms of comparisons in this mode, just for the standard one, here they are with Kingdom Sideswipe. Obviously that scale doesn't really work because deluxe jets don't really scale with deluxe cars. Here he is with Needlenose. I almost brought out Needlenose and Crankcase, and I was like, that's not right. It's hard to remember which trio these guys are part of, but you can see what the two of them look like together. Again, I appreciate that they did like a different pattern on the wings here. I think that the way that the wings were done looks really, really nice. I like how, they've got all these little details picked out there, but otherwise they're, pretty much the same silhouette of Jet here. I also find for some reason like Needlenose's wings sit a lot more flat on mine, whereas these just like ever so slightly kind of want to bow up a little bit. I don't really know what it is. It's not really that big a deal, but I guess worth mentioning. And then likewise, here are these two guys with Needlenose's target masters, so you can see what they look like together. Again, just kind of more boring versions of the same figures with like, the color scheme of the silver weapons that originally came with Windsweeper, because, his weapons weren't originally target masters, but that's what they look like together. And then last but not least, here he is with Crankcase and Ruckus, so you can see the full trio there. Like I said, the only one that really does the TriggerCon gimmick is Ruckus, because if I can flip these out, geez, because he's got like the new tooled guns here. It's a shame that they didn't end up doing that with Crankcase, since like he's got the stripes there. I feel like if they just retooled this back piece with flip around guns, that would have worked a lot better. But still, it's nice to see another little G1 like obscure trio completed. So it's cool to see all three of them together, even if none of them are like super ideal figures. I do think that Ruckus is probably the best one out of the three of them, because he got so much tooling to actually make him a new version of G1 Ruckus, rather than these two who are just kind of not ideal retools of other figures. But ignoring the whole gimmicks part of it, I do think that the three of them look pretty cool together. But yeah, to get onto transformation, we'll just put these guys off to the side. Obviously, being version of the Needlenose mold, he's very, very simple. You just take the whole cockpit section here, and it will double hinge up and tab onto the back. You kind of take the wings and just fold them back like that, and then take this whole back section, which is pretty much the whole jet, and just double hinge it down like that till it clicks into place. And that releases the 2 tabs plugged in from the feet here, so you can take these. The arms kind of go inside the lower legs here. You bring these down, rotate them forward, and bring down the feet. Open up his chest piece here, rotate out the arms like that, so they sit like that. Fold down these 2 shoulder pieces, flip out the robot mode head, and you can close the chest back up to lock all that stuff in place. And then you just unfold the arms and rotate them forward. And there we have Windsweeper in his robot mode. And yeah, this works pretty well, I think. I mean, he generally has the silhouette of Windsweeper. I think that the original Windsweeper, the like wings would have ended up like on the arms rather than being behind, but it still works well enough. I think that this is more or less, I mean, like, I think that like the original Windsweeper, like the cockpit just like folded up underneath, like behind his like mono leg, and that's how they did the transformation. But I guess it works, all things considered. Even though this was designed to be Needlenose, like I do think it works for Windsweeper. I love the new head sculpt. I feel like that looks pretty nice there. I like the tan paint matches the tan plastic pretty well, just like on the legs as well. And yeah, decent looking figure. Obviously, very basic robot, just with kind of jet kibble hanging out the back. But in terms of articulation, the head's on a ball joint, so it can rotate around, gets a little bit of wiggle back and forth. Shoulders are on universal joints, which can swivel around and go out to the side. It's got a bicep swivel, a double jointed elbow for transformation, so he gets a full curl there, a wrist swivel, which is nice. He does have a waist swivel, but it is like pretty blocked by the backpack, so you don't get a ton of range with it before it starts unplugging things. The hips can go forward and back only about that far, and out to the side, and actually go even further if you need him to. He's got a thigh swivel, very deep knee bend for transformation. Then the ankles can tilt out to the side, and they can tilt back. So yeah, pretty decent articulation, which I guess is one of the benefits of having such a simple transformation. Is more joints can be specifically dedicated to the transfer to articulation. But yeah, pretty decent figure. Obviously, in terms of the weapons, we can bring back on these guys here, who you can flip out and have him hold in his hand, or if you wanted to be a bit more accurate to how they were in G1, you just plug them onto the side of the arms here, which again I think looks a little bit silly with him, just because these aren't really the right shape for his guns here. But you also do again, just like Needle Nose, have this piece that you can take off and I guess have him hold in his hand for whatever reason. But yeah, that's probably was meant originally for some sort of like Predator thing that they just never ended up doing with this mold, or maybe just haven't yet. But yeah, also worth mentioning is in vehicle mode, he can attach to Skyquake or Dreadwing from Transformers Prime still for whatever reason. It was clear that those were meant to be like, be more like the Euro G1 Skyquake, who did the whole like Predator gimmick thing with the smaller Predator guys, and they never made this mold into those, or never made the Skyquake mold into Euro G1 Skywake. So maybe they still will eventually, I don't know, but I don't know if I really need like 4 more of this mold and then another one of that leader class mold. But either way, but so yeah, I'm not really satisfied with these as weapons, which is why I decided to 3D print my own. And how mine work basically is they just plug on to the side of the arms here like that, so they can fold up. I kind of sculpted this panel so it like actually contoured to the little grooves in the arm there, and then it's got a hinge which can flip around, so you can have it facing forward like this. And I like that solution a lot better. Again, I think this will look a lot nicer once these are properly painted in silver, but just to get the review out, I wanted to show off that as well. But yeah, obviously I designed these, they don't come with a figure, but I do think that like using this as an opportunity to do a little project was kind of a fun just reason to get into something, and it will be fun to paint these guys to look like Spinisters, Micromasters as well. But either way, it's still basic complaints about this mold is just it's kind of a basic toy that's not all that exciting, but it's decent, especially in robot mode. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, just for a standard one, here he is again with Kingdom Sideswipe, so you can see kind of taller than average deluxe there. Here he is again with Evolution Needle Nose there, so you can see what the two of them look like together. Again, same exact figure, just with a new head sculpt there. Otherwise, they're exactly the same. And then here he is again with Crankcase and Ruckus, so we can see the 3 trigger cons there. And I feel like the 3 of them look pretty cool together. Despite my complaints that they don't all really have their like gimmicks intact, I do think that all 3 of them are nice looking figures, and it does look nice to like have this group completed. And then last but not least, well, maybe least, I don't know, here he is again with his pack mate with the Prime Universe Breakdown, who I'll take a look at in the next video here. But yeah, it's an okay set. I mean, it's one of those ones where it's just like, when you get these multi-packs, sometimes there's going to be a figure that you just don't want, right? And it's unfortunate when you've got like a deluxe and a Voyager, and the one you don't want is the Voyager. So I'm glad I picked the set up because the sale was nice, and he is actually a decent figure. I just don't necessarily need it. Like, I wouldn't have paid money for it on its own, but I'll talk about that in his video. But yeah, either way, I do like Windsweeper, and it was, a fun excuse to do a little project and get his weapons all made up. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Legacy United Doom and Destruction Collection Windsweeper.